How come black people can say the N-word, but we can't? I had to do some research on that to educate myself a little bit further. The N-word is synonymous with oppression, execution, and subordination. Black people were so long treated and viewed as no more than the slave to a master. We were viewed as dirt, and that word is synonymous with that. So there is a visceral reaction whenever we hear that word coming out of someone whose complexion is white that reminds us of the pain of our ancestors. Black people took something that was meant and originally used as evil, and we turned it into a term of endearment. So white people, I submit that you can't, shouldn't, and nor should you ever have a desire to say that word, whether quoting a rap song, a movie, or anything. Because remember, that word is truly synonymous with hatred. The abolitionist Frederick Douglass, he wrote when talking about his master that reading and learning would spoil an N-word. Because remember, black people were nothing more than a slave to their master. And when you think about, well, then why should black people saying it? And if I can't say it, then you should neither, black person. We've been oppressed for so long, our rights have for so long been limited, that for you to now try to again limit our speech, it's painful. So that's why, in a nutshell, in a few minutes and seconds, why you can't say the end.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. This is going to be a really good conversation, and hopefully it will open some eyes for some people. So today I have Jonathan, Rex, Adrian, and Brandon.
Hello.
And what we're going to talk about is the N-word. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because in last week's video, I interviewed an interracial couple, two interracial couples. And as we were talking towards the end, I gave an example of how I feel like some really good white people may be feeling right now in this chaos that we're in right now with the racism in America and how it's protests all over the globe. And I was saying that, going out into the world, I found myself kind of cutting my eyes at every white person, not intentionally, but just feeling the defensiveness of everything that's going on. And then I had to consciously remember, like, hey, it's not every last one of them, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm pretty sure, I had this experience where I was at Target in the line. And so this white man was in front of me and he kept trying to make eye contact with me because I think he really wanted me to know I'm not one of these people. It's kind of like when black people, when we get together and if somebody is doing something really bad, we're like, oh, this nigga here, I hope they don't think I'm like this. So when I gave that example, someone put in the comments that, if it offended them and they felt like, that using the word is one of the reasons racism is still happening. And they had valid points. They came with scriptures. They came with quotes. And, like I told the person who made the comment, I said, I don't know if you're white or black because they chose not to have a picture of themselves. They just had the initial. But I had to explain to him, that sometimes I use it. And there was a warning at the beginning of the video, just like there's a warning at the beginning of this video that is going to be graphic, language and content. But I do use the word and I use it. It depends on when I use it and how I use it. But then I said, you know what? I need to talk to some other people. And this is the reason why we're having a conversation today, because I just didn't want it to be my perspective. So I appreciate you all for sharing your perspective. And I always say here on my platform, there is no right or wrong answer. There's just different perspectives. So I wanted to start with Jonathan first, because Jonathan, you still use the word. And I wanted you to just share your perspective on why.
Well, I use the word because it's just part of my vocab, part of my upbringing. And I think there's a time and place where you should use the word. There is no monopoly on the word. Words are based on the intent that you're using with. So, there's a lot of different ways you can use the word. But I think that I use the word still because, number one, it's part of me. Number two, it's kind of a rites of passage with Black men that we use this word. It's kind of like our way of relating to each other in this world where we don't have a lot to own. We take ownership of that and we use it within each other. And there's other groups that have those type of words, which they actually use within each other and that they only could use towards each other. And so that's why I use it. And I use it in the right context. I use it at the right time. I use it at the right place. And I feel that no one should be able to tell anybody when and how to use that word unless they're their children. And if it's not, the intent is wrong, then yes, the intent behind it is wrong. And I think there's two different words. There's nigger and then there's nigga. And nigga is totally different and a totally different intent than the word nigger. And we get that crossed in this debate that we have.
Okay, Adrian, I invited you because you say you don't use the word, you don't like the word, you don't believe in it. And if you're comfortable, could you share your ethnicity with us and your culture, and then share why you don't like the word?
I don't necessarily not like it. I'm Armenian, by the way, but I never grew up speaking slang. So for me, it's a slang word. And I understand what Jonathan is saying. There's a difference between the way you say it, because when you say, in my opinion, nigga, it's like, hey brother, you know, what are you doing, blah, blah, blah. And then when you say nigger, it's more offensive. I get it. That's my opinion. I don't know if the way he was pronouncing it, I don't know if that's what he meant. But again, if you grew up in that culture, so I understand it's okay to, when you get mad, you say that word. It's not necessarily being racist when you're pissed, or you say it because you associate that word with someone being a thug. I don't talk slang, so I will never use that word. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. All right. And then Rex, I invited you because you are Spanish, I believe. Hispanic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Hispanic and Native American.
yeah, so I thought that combination was like, okay, and share your story, in more detail. You said you used to use the word, no longer use it. So why you no longer?
I mean, I definitely have refrained more, and honestly, it's not something that's very common for me anymore. But I grew up where I live here in Texas, right around the Houston area. Now I'm in San Antonio, but most of my family, half Black, half Hispanic. So it was just sort of like a casual word to say. And on top of that, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's the culture I resonated the most with. And I feel like, you know, Hispanic, Mexican, Black, almost the same, kind of the same, you know, definitely looked down upon by most people, you know. So just the familiarity with it around me, just hip hop culture, tradition in the area, the region. It's being in a not so great part of town with not really good people, you know. On top of that, I made music, hip hop music for about 10 years, produced, wrote all of my own stuff. Really was big about teaching myself how to do it. And on top of that, other people as well.
Okay, so you don't use it anymore because why?
Not really anymore because I sort of fell off with everybody. I really moved more into myself as a person and more evolving myself as a person, and really getting rid of like any words that are too basic, they can mean so many things. So why use that word? You know, like any word.
So it's not anything about the culture or it being offensive. It's just you are elevating your vocabulary.
I would say both. More elevated myself and my vocabulary and the way I feel and speak to people and communicate. But on top of that, especially right now, like you wouldn't catch me saying that. But usually I wasn't saying it around randoms. It's just my friends, my family. You know what I mean? My people that I've been with for a long time. And honestly, I don't really have a lot of family. So the people I spent years with were my family.
Okay. So you understood that you couldn't say it around other people because you knew it was offensive, or some people would take it offensive, or did you feel you didn't have the, like Jonathan was saying, you didn't have the birthright, to be able to use it freely?
I would say it was weird because around 13, 14, it's what I felt and who I felt I was. I resonated a lot with Black culture, with hip hop culture, especially from the area I'm in. It's so prevalent and wide that it's just something I felt like I was adopted into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
all right. So
I definitely used it then, but not really anymore.
Brandon, and the reason why I had you join, because you said you used to also use the word, and you're Jewish, and you say you no longer use the word. So I wanted you to share your story as well.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me a little better now?
I can hear you better, but now we can't see you.
I know. I think this is just the price I'm going to have to pay. I'm so sorry. I'm a bit far from my router right now. But yeah, I am Jewish. I mean, this is just, it's an interesting topic, because honestly, where I'm from, I have no place really saying the word. I mean, I haven't said the word in years, but like Rex said, I grew up ingrained in hip hop culture. My favorite, like people would ask me, like, what kind of music do you like? I'm like, well, I like rap. I like Tupac, that was just what I grew up on. So, if like I used to have Black friends, and sometimes, yeah, I would just say it with them, and it was always a little touchy. I didn't know if I could say it, but it was more like, if they're going to let me say this, then I know they like me. I know they can approve of me to an extent, but you grow older and you realize just the value of a word. And anyone can say anything they want, but, I can't be a hypocrite, because people have said things about my culture, that I take offense to, and it's kind of minuscule to them, but, I'm pissed about it. The rest of the day, I'm kind of thinking like, yeah, what the fuck was that, So I can imagine the same way. Like you said, you were kind of mad dogging people, white people, like, and I get it, like we harbor different emotions and we can't help it. It is what it is, but yeah, it's kind of where I'm coming from.
It was something that Jonathan said that I was going to speak on as well, and I want you guys to share. I want to know, why do you guys think that the N-word and the slur is more popular than any of the other slurs in other cultures? Because each culture has their own stereotypical slur that they use against each other when they're upset with each other, or they're making fun of, each other. I don't know a lot of them, but I know chulo, papi chulo, or chulo.
Oh, yeah.
Is one that's been in the Spanish, and they use it against each other when they get on each other's, nerves.
Yeah.
So in each culture, there is certain slurs that the racists gave, but you guys have taken it on and made it your own, and you use it as well. So if you don't mind, can you share one or two slurs that is the same as the N-word, and then share why do you think the N-word is more popular on this topic than the slurs that you guys know of in your own culture? Anybody can start.
I think it's the most popular because the hip hop culture is popular. Honestly, that's why. Other than that, I can't think of another reason why. And people, like one of the guys mentioned, they want to fit in, and that's one way to fit in using that word as like Jonathan said, there is different intent in using that word. So sometimes it's like, brother, what's up? So I think it's just because they want to fit in and get the love from that culture, from that, that's what I think. I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
What racial slur do you have in your Armenian culture that you know is really bad to say, but y'all use it when with each other for whatever reason?
I don't even think Armenians have that.
You don't?
No, no,
Hmm.
no. We don't have like, we have swear words, but we don't have like that kind of
So there's no
hola and
racist word that that's been used against you, no racial slur that you know of?
Armenians. No, no.
Interesting.
From what I know,
Okay,
not
good.
against us.
Does anybody know of a slur that is used for Armenian?
I don't.
That's interesting.
I don't even think anyone really knows what Armenians are unless you live in LA, which I'm from San Francisco, but unless you're in California, most people don't know what Armenians are.
Yeah, I didn't meet an Armenian until I got to LA. So
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay, interesting. What about you, Brandon? I know you probably have, like you said earlier, sometimes some slurs has been used against you, and you really didn't like it. So, which ones do you use, and you can use in your own culture, but nobody else better not use it?
Let me just stop this just so it works well. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely derogatory terms for like me just being white, you know. I mean, I'm not such a religious guy. I don't want you dissing my family's culture, but I don't really take it to heart. I don't know. I mean, I can answer the second part of your question better, I think. I mean, like Adrian said, it's the hip hop culture. I mean, like black culture is just everywhere, it's not like some new thing. I mean, most entertainment, it's strange, because I mean, there's like present day discrimination, but I mean, it's tough because I mean, black culture is so like embraced everywhere. I mean, it's not, it's tough to say, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. What can I even say about like me being white? Like maybe me being a cracker or something. I don't know. People don't really say that. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, Jewish. Like, yeah,
well,
like,
I know like white trash. Is that something that you guys might say to each other? Messing around like, oh, and you kind of use it.
No, I'm not, because I'm not white trash, so I'm not offended.
No, I know that. I'm saying, do you when you're with your friends, do you use it as do you say it to like make fun of somebody, being just jokingly, or if somebody really gets on your nerves, or someone is doing something to make you want to say that to them? Have you ever
Honestly, sometimes I'll just call them a pussy or something, or sometimes I'll ashamedly I'll say like something derogatory towards homosexuals. I don't need to say it, but sometimes I'll just throw that word around, and but it's not like, oh, like I hate these people. And even if I say the word the N-word to like someone I know, and it's like we've said it before, it's just like it doesn't even cross my mind. I think you have to be a racist for like to give these words meaning. You know what I mean? I don't want to ramble, but I've just never been a racist. I've grown up around black people my whole life, so like the N-word was always around me too. It's just like you hear it a lot, and it's like, well, I'm not thinking about like racist shit when I'm 12, hearing it all the time. Like I just want to be like a bro. So yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Where I grew up in San Francisco, I grew up with black people, Chinese, all sorts. And to be honest with you, there was no racism in San Francisco, in the peninsula where I grew up. Because and I think that has to do with the economy. Mm-hmm. Everyone is just, like, we didn't see color in San Francisco. Everyone is the same. When I came to LA, I experienced racism. In San Francisco, everyone is the same. It's the weirdest thing. No one is segregated. No one. And and like I said, it's the economy, because we're all economically where I grew up, the peninsula, where we were the same. And I think it's economy has a lot to do with racism, honestly. That's what I think. But it was here in LA that I experienced racism.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Rex, what about you? Is there a word in your culture that's a slur that you use with your homies that is okay, like how it is with the N-word?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a second or a few minutes to actually think about one, but I think it's just because it's been around so much, been used for so long. I was like, oh, that's not a thing. Is that something we have? I had to think about it. And I actually found two. I thought I'd only find one, but I actually did find two. I would say number one would have to be a wetback. Number two, I would say beaner, you know?
I've heard beaner.
Yeah.
So you guys use that like how we use the N-word.
Yeah. And it was weird. I didn't really think about it until right now, but I wonder what it comes from. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe it's familiarity with the word, people calling you that for so long. Maybe you start to identify that as yourself and each other. I mean, even here in Texas, we have a shitload of Mexican people, California as well, everywhere near the border. And especially strict Spanish speakers, they'll use the same slang we use as the American word, you know, wetback or beaner, to each other just to fuck with each other, make fun of each other, poke at each other.
Right. Do you think that word came from a racist, or do you think it came from your culture?
I think wetback would definitely be sort of racist. I mean, we are sort of coming into the country illegally, so to say, and I mean, it still happens today. It's not like it's really stopped, especially with tighter border laws and stupid ICE camps and dumb shit like that. I mean, it's always going to happen.
Okay. Jonathan, so you and I both still use the word to empower the word and make it our own. And I feel like, and Jonathan, you can tell me what you think, but I feel like when white people get upset about us using the word, it's because they're like, you know, if I can't use it, you shouldn't be able to use it. And so the first thing I kind of say to myself is that you don't get to tell us again what to do. It's almost like another form of slavery. Like, you gave us the word, you know, in a very derogatory, negative way. And now that we've taken it on and made it our own, and you can't say it, it's like a control thing. Like, I don't really think that a lot of white people who always say, oh, you should use the word, I don't think I think it's more about control. Mm-hmm. That's where I get into it. Like, don't tell us what to do. Now, within the Black community, Jonathan, I understand, and I make sure not to use the word in front of my elders or in front of people who fight for our rights that say do not use the word. I respect them 100% because they're coming at it from a different angle. They're coming at it from pain and from hurt. And so because they're foot soldiers and they're out there doing the work, I respect them. I say, okay, you know, I won't use it around you. But like you said earlier, Jonathan, you know, unless you are my parent, you can't tell me which words to use. But I can respect why you don't want me to use it. And when I'm in your presence, I will not use the word. So, Jonathan, what I wanted to ask you is, do you have friends, Black friends, that kind of go back and forth with you with using the N-word?
Very rare. I do have some, you know, do-gooders who want to somehow make themselves elite and be the one who is the good example all the time. I'm sure I've had maybe 1 out of 10 friends like that, but the majority of them think like me and you, and it does have something to do with power, something that we are telling people you can't say, and it's something that we can do. So it's something that we can do and other people can't do. And it's a very unique thing. And we as Black people do have a unique history to where maybe those other races don't have that. But I would like to say that with the Mexican Native American guy, I've heard out here in California, Mexicans say fool a lot. They call each other fool. What's up, fool?
Yes.
Fool. And that's a derogatory term. I wouldn't call anybody fool unless it was a derogatory term. But I understand that, hey, that's what they use with each other. And it's the intent behind it. And it's the difference between saying, what's up, fool? And you're a fool. You're a fucking fool. It's different. And so, yeah, I definitely agree. And there are some of us who go too far with it. They'll be in the grocery line saying nigga every word. And part of it is maybe they don't have a good vocabulary. Part of it is they want to sound cool. Part of it is they want to be belong to something. But, you know, me personally, I choose not to use it in those terms. If it's me and my friends drinking around the table, hi nigga, you crazy, that's how I use it. Or look at this nigga here. We might be talking about somebody, cracking jokes on somebody. But besides that, you know, it's a time and place thing. And again, a lot of times people do mix up that word with the ER word, and they're totally two different words. And it's just like the word master and the word massa. Massa is something that is not a good connotation. Master can be used in any type of way. There's karate masters, there's He-Man, master of the universe. There's so many different masters, different ways to use the word. So I think that it's all up to the person and knowing when and where you can use the word. I think if you're a person who uses among your friends, no matter what race, and that's what you do, there's nobody can stop you. But if it's something that you want to start coming up to random Black people saying that, you may not get the right reaction.
and speaking of that, Adrian, I wanted to bring up something that happens with us females, and it made me think about the N word, but the B word is also the same way. So I have a really good girlfriend. She's older than me, and she comes from the old school. And we were going to a party, and she looked amazing. She had this wonderful dress on, and I said, "Oh, bitch, you look good." And she said, "Don't call me bitch." She got really, and I was like, "Oh, well, I mean it." She said, "I don't care how you mean it. Just I don't want to be called a bitch." And right there, instantly, I respected her. I said, "Okay." And Adrian, you know how quick we're so. I don't know where it came from. I guess empowerment. When men used to call us a bitch, we kind of took the word ourselves and made it a strong, tough woman. You know, proud to be a bitch. But people who went through the word where it was not used like that, they still have scars. You know, and I think the N word, Jonathan, where we have some of our brothers and sisters who don't like to use the word because of the same, maybe the pain, and their ancestors and their grandparents went through that, so that's why they can't deal with the word. The same with some women, Adrian, who are older, like our grandmothers and our mothers. They do not love that. They do not. They'll say, "Why do you girls call each other's bitches?" You know, say that. But now it's become so easy. It's like, "Hey girl, hey bitch, hey bitch, hey girl."
Exactly. I mean, it's just like, you know, we've been talking about, there's different meanings of most words, and experiences lead to a person's hatred for a word. And I'm sure she's had a horrific experience. Probably a guy was abusing her. And now she hates that word bitch. I personally don't care at all if someone as a joke calls me, even if when I'm in a relationship and he calls me a bitch, I still don't get offended, because I've never been in a severely abusive relationship, so I don't get offended when he calls me a bitch. So for me, it doesn't bother me. Now maybe if I was in a severely abusive relationship, I would be bothered. Or maybe if my parents were abusive, I would really be bothered. I mean, it depends the experience.
What about if it's your boss? If your boss called you a bitch?
God, I still wouldn't care. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't care.
Boss called me a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, if they called me like something else, for some odd reason that word doesn't offend me. Now, if they were putting me down and calling me stupid, then yeah, I'd get offended. I would be really offended for that. But words don't really bother me unless there is. I mean, people say bitch out of anger. I don't know, or it just doesn't bother me. I don't know.
Yeah, it bothered her a lot. And
Yeah.
it made me think about how words are just with everything. But it's something that you all said with the N word, that
Mm-hmm.
music, the hip hop music, has
Mm-hmm.
more popular and has made it more attractive to want to be used with people who are not Black. Is more,
Yeah.
like you hear a lot of white kids say, I listen to the song, I play the song. So when they're singing their lyrics, they're singing it, with the N word.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys feel with everything that's going on right now with the racism and the protests and Trump? Like, what do you think about moving forward? And Jonathan, this is, really for you too. Moving forward, will you think a little bit more about the word and not use it less? Or does this time right now really affect you or not?
I think it really doesn't affect me. This time right now is a chance for people to really check themselves and see what their role is going to be on making them work better. Regardless of what happens, there's always going to be people that will use that word. You can't stop it. It's too ingrained in our vocab and American culture. And it's just all about people understanding the differences between cultures. If you're a young kid and you grew up listening to hip hop music, that would make you then want to go in and read some of the history of hip hop and some of the history of Black people, the people who created the genre. And at that point, once you do that, you will then know that, hey, it's not good for me to say this and act like it's cool, especially around other Black people. So I think most people have that common sense. Maybe kids under 13, 12, 11, maybe, but most people, they understand that. And if a person really wants to use that, they're trying to push buttons, to me, in my opinion.
Does anybody else have anything to say on that? What do you think about that?
This is kind of off the subject of what you're asking. I just want to let people know that at my culture, Armenians, we're not racist. It's the weirdest thing for me that people are even racist, because I never grew up racist. I went to school with half Armenian, half Black kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's Black living, half Black, half Armenians in Armenia. Honestly, Armenians are not racist. Yeah,
Well,
they like to stick together, but
let me just chime in. That's a generic statement, because I personally know some that are racist.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never.
And it's different types of races, and I see Brandon shaking his head, so I'm going to want him to chime in. But you have the races that know they're racist, and then you have those that are clueless that they're racist until they start doing things. So I'll just give you an example. So this Armenian woman, and she doesn't realize that she's racist or saying racist things, but she's young. And she said to me, she was like, "Wow, Charlotte, are you mixed?" And I'm like, no, not directly. I'm sure there was a massa, as Jonathan would say. I'm sure there was a massa that probably raped, one of our slaves, and it's got through there, and it's somehow maybe through my bloodlines. But no, my mom and my dad, they're both Black. And she said, because you don't look like, a regular Black girl. You're pretty, and your skin is not dark like theirs. And
What?
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, she is clueless to what she's saying. But then it got deeper. Every racist has done this brainwashing to every culture where they think white is right. So she goes on to say, in another conversation, that she was talking about school and other parents. And she said, yeah, they thought I was Spanish. And I was like, I'm white. I don't know why they thought I was Spanish. And I'm like, she's Armenian. What is she talking about? But she feels she's white.
Well, actually, Armenians are Caucasian. They're from the Caucasus Mountains. Honestly, but this girl sounds like she's 12. Was she like...
She's not, and she has kids, but she doesn't claim Armenian. She claims white.
She's a little naive and uneducated. She's
But
uneducated.
I just want to kind of give you,
Yeah.
make it a generic, because there are some that
You're right. You're right.
you know, they if they could pass, and it's with every culture. If you look at Telemundo, why does Telemundo only show white people? Like, if there's no dark brown Spanish people. So the whitewash is just everywhere. In the Asian culture, you have some of the Asians that get really pale, because the paler they are, white is right. So
It's so ridiculous.
the brainwashing and the racism and the hatred has just, like, it's like cancer. They have gone into every culture and done some kind of damage. So Brandon, you were shaking your head earlier. I wanted to get in on what you were shaking your head on.
And I just wanted to say that, like, there's racist people from every culture, you know, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Adrian hangs out with a bunch of people who aren't, but yeah, I mean, there's racist people in every culture. That's just what I was nodding to, but yeah, this is just an intense topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Brandon was saying that there's racism in every culture.
There is.
Racist,
I guess I just never grew up with it.
which is good for you.
San Francisco is different. I don't know. LA, I don't know.
I just wanted to say something, Charlotte. Yeah, something you said earlier. Racism is a real thing, you know, and you're right about just white people in movies. It's weird. Like, you know, as a white kid, I never really realized it, but like, yeah, like everyone in my favorite movies are white, you know. It's like, but it's normal to you when you're white, because you're like, oh, well, you know, I'm white. I know a lot of white people, but I can understand how it sucks being like, you know, if I grew up as a black kid in LA and like, none of my heroes in the movies were like white, you know, like, I don't know, but yeah, I think there's more classism than racism, because when you become rich enough, honestly, like, color doesn't even matter. But it's like, but it's just there's definitely institutionalized racism that, like, politics have a big part in, and, you know, they keep black people impoverished. You know, there's a lot of black communities out here that they, like, it's just fucked up, because if you get poor in the projects or something and you're getting a welfare check every month, you're like, this is good, you know, they help us. They want to institutionalize those people. They want to keep the cycle going. They want to keep you poor, you know, and make you think that $500 a month is a lot, you know. And I know what that's about. I you know, as a child, I had a mostly good life, but there was a phase I was in a foster home with black parents. I have a black godmother, you know, so I was lucky enough to be introduced to a side of people, like, that culture where I'm like, I respect these people. I love these people. So it's not like just what I see on TV. It's not just like this rap culture where I want to be like these guys and I want to get tats and I want to rap. It's all of that, you know? So it's tough though. But I mean, yeah, classism is real too.
But yeah, they do that. They whitewash us and they brainwash it. You can do Google for anything. You could just say t-shirt. What's going to come up? White people in t-shirts. If you want to see a black person in a t-shirt, you have to literally type in white t-shirt with black woman wearing it. And then you may get one or two. Then when it comes to movies, everything that's on TV, white is better. They rarely show any kind of diversity. And so the power of that is so powerful. There's a video. If you guys get a chance, there's this video that's going viral. It's a young kid. He is mixed. He is half black and he's half Filipino, and I can't remember what else, but he looks pretty much fair skinned. But he just finished watching Black Panther, the movie. And this kid is about maybe 6 or 7 years old. And he's crying and he's upset. And his mother is taping him. And she's like, why are you crying? Why are you upset? He was like, because I want to be black. And she goes, you are black. He was like, no, I want to be all the way black. And she said, what are you talking about? And he says, how much black am I? And she says, daddy's black and mommy is Filipino and Hispanic, I think she was. And he said, no, the number. And she goes, 50%. And he goes, no, I want to be 100%.
That's so cute.
And
That is so cute.
and he cries the whole time. And so that goes to show you the power, because Black Panther was the first Marvel or DC or, you know, superhero film franchise that showed all Black superheroes, all Black culture, all Black everything. It was just like a beautiful thing. So imagine how powerful we could be. We have more diversity and more movies like that, and you see how it affects a kid. So if year after year after year, all you keep seeing is white this, white that, white this, white this, then you wonder why we are all kind of like brainwashed and we're all suffering from some form of whitewash.
I agree.
You know, so
I agree.
Jonathan, what do you think about that? Like, do you think with Black movies and Black films and Black series, do you feel like we're still getting enough of them or no?
No, we're still not getting enough. Imagery is very powerful, and I think we're getting more. I think we're getting a little bit better because everything's not bound by the studio system. I'm a filmmaker myself, so I have a film that I'm coming out with. Actually, check out the trailer. It's called High Conspiracy. And it's talking about what Black men go through. Especially you would get a kick out of it, Charlotte, because you're an internet personality. And it's about an internet personality who has a strong opinion and is now being so big, getting so big that he wants to run for Congress. And then the congressman decides to try to assassinate him in the movie. I think imagery is very powerful. And the more images you see, the more you're comfortable with them. The less images you see, the less comfortable you're with them. And I think it's getting better, but we still have far to go, definitely.
Okay. So I'm gonna have each one of you leave one thing to say to a person. Someone is gonna watch this video and someone is going to be offended. So say something to that person that may feel offended by this conversation. And you say whatever you feel, but just say something to the person that who's going to come here and feel offended by this conversation. So Adrienne, I'll let you go first.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, you are.
I don't know what to say.
So you, Adrienne, you'll go last, so that I'll
Okay.
Rex, you go first.
I think I got one. I think it would be that, you know, if there's something that you don't understand, it's okay. I feel like a lot of the getting triggered, getting upset, feeling some type of way about anything, it's probably comes from a place of not completely understanding. And in that, you use your own head and jump to some sort of judgment, make shit up on your own that is not the truth at all, which really hurts people and leads people to think things and interpret things in ways that they weren't even meant to be. Something that wasn't serious and big, you could make huge in your mind, you know?
Wow, that's pretty. Who wants to follow that? Brandon, do you want to follow that?
No, I mean, that was a great thought from Rex. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't really know. If someone's offended, I would just tell them, you know, just usually if someone's offended, they're usually just angry about something that's, you know, underlying in their life. So maybe just, you know what helped me being nicer to people, just even when you don't want to be, even if someone's from a different culture, you think that someone won't accept you, or even if they're abrasive to you, just accept them, just be cool with them. Obviously it's their problem, not yours, you know, so don't make it yours.
Okay, thanks, Brandon. Adrienne, you think you got something now?
People often are like sheep. They just follow people. Don't follow people blind. Think before you follow. Also, don't take things personally, because oftentimes people will just spit without thinking, because they're just used to following the herd. That's all for now.
That's good.
I don't know.
Do you want to leave something for someone who will probably comment or who may get offended by this video?
If someone is offended, especially if they're older, you know, times have changed and you have to get with the times as they go. We didn't stop it. We didn't stop this word long time ago. So now it's become a part of a lot of people's vernacular. And it's going to take responsibility for us to teach people when, way to, in the right way to say it and where to say it, if that's the case. But you can't stop people for what they want to say and what they want to do. And the more you try to do that, the more rebellious people become. And then for the young people, learn about the word. Just don't say it just because it's cool. Say it because it's something that you really feel in your heart is the right thing to do at that time and moment. Just don't go back and forth just because you want to be cool and just because you want to sound cool and sound like you have ear to the streets. And then, you know, for the white people or for other races, understand that, hey, this word is very powerful. It's a negative connotation, no matter where or who you say it to, for you to use it. And I do the same for other races. I'm understanding. I take that into consideration, and I know who I'm speaking with. I know where I'm speaking. I know who I'm speaking to, and I don't act stupid. If I were to go up and say the word kike to a Jew person, I deserve everything I get, and there's nothing that I can do to come back from that. There's not a lot of apology that I have to come back from that, because I know where I'm coming from. So that's all I got to say when it comes about this topic and this word.
Great. And what I would like to say to anyone that is offended by this, I put a warning sign at the beginning. I'm going to put a friendly warning in the comments. So if you come here to my platform, you already know. And if you don't, I keep it very 100% raw, honest, and unfiltered, because I'm talking about issues. We're not baking cookies. So we're talking about issues, and it's a grown conversation. So if you're offended, you got the warning twice. So I want to thank all of you guys for joining me. This was a great conversation. I really appreciate you all. And, you know, with the way things is going on in this world, I just hope that, you know, in a perfect world, I wish just all the racists, I wish they would just go somewhere. You got the money.
I know.
You got the money, just go. I mean, because it's too many of us that are different. So you're just going to continue to keep hating everything that is not you. So why not them as a collective just get together and just go somewhere? That's what I really wish they would just do, because the world is going to keep growing. It's going to keep changing, and it's going to start mixing and melding. And soon it's just going to be different kinds of colors. And what are they going to do? They're going to just keep hating on every new color that comes out. Like, it's like,
I know.
So that's the only thing that I wish. And I wish you guys all, you know, just try to deal with what's going on, because I know it's a lot. And thank you again.
And thank you, the viewer, for watching. And to all my subs, you know I loves my subs. I appreciate you all. If you enjoyed this conversation, give us the thumbs up. And if you didn't, give us the thumbs down. We can always agree to disagree. And please feel free to leave your own feelings and thoughts on using the N word in 2020. Keep it cute. No hate, or it will get deleted. And don't forget, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. And next week, I'll see you there.